Our next presentation this morning is from the City of Stockbridge regarding a request for reimbursement for police department services. Chief Frank Trammer.
Good morning. Good morning, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, and Commissioners. My name is Frank Trammer. I'm the Chief of Police for the City of Stockbridge. Accompanying me this morning is our Mayor, the Honorable Anthony S. Ford, our City Manager, Mr. Frederick Gardner, our City Treasurer, Mr. John Wiggins, and our City Attorney, Mr. Quentin Washington. And I appreciate you for the opportunity to address you this morning on a very important matter that impacts our city financially, but more so, it impacts our department operations more directly. I'm here before you this morning to ask for the board's consideration to reimburse approximately $2.4 million to the City of Stockbridge from the county's Police Service District Fund for taxes collected from our residents for police services from July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023. In December of 2020, the City of Stockbridge entered into an intergovernmental agreement with the county to provide police services within a police service district for the City of Stockbridge. That intergovernmental agreement stipulates that the county shall leverage a uniform millage rate within the police service district to fund police services within the police service district. The citizens of Stockbridge currently pay the county a millage rate of 1.904 mils for the police service district, and this tax equates to roughly $2.4 million annually. When I was appointed as police chief in October of last year, I met with you, Madam Chair, and with Chief Ammerman to discuss the Stockbridge Police Department's implementation plan. It was communicated at that time that it was our intent to fully implement the police department for the City of Stockbridge effective July 1st of this year. One of the major reasons that we decided to implement the police department on July 1st was to align the transition of the police department with the county's budget cycle so that the City of Stockbridge would be eligible to receive the full rollback of 1.904 mils that our citizens were paying to the county. Unbeknownst to me, there was a provision in the intergovernmental agreement that required the city to adopt a resolution requesting the county to discontinue police services within the city, and a requirement that the resolution be delivered to the county at least 12 months prior to the city's exit from the police service district. It's my understanding that the county contends that the city did not provide proper notice within the prescribed time frame and has therefore retained the $2.4 million tax for police services that our citizens have paid. While it is factual that the prescribed protocol regarding the timing of the notification to opt out of police services was not observed, it would be my contention that the county was aware of the city's plan to start its own police department, as this was made public in February of 2021 when the City Council elected to bond funds for the startup of a police department and subsequently approved the hiring of a police chief. Again, our city, but more specifically my department, was relying on these funds to sustain our new police force. In absence of this important funding, the functioning of our department and the safety and security of our community is potentially at risk. This same intergovernmental agreement states that the county shall uniformly provide police services at a uniform and non-discriminatory level of service throughout the police service district. Since July 1st, the Henry County Police Department has not uniformly provided police services within the City of Stockbridge. My department has fully assumed this responsibility for these services. And furthermore, the Henry County Police Department has not handled any calls for service as a primary unit for any incidents arising from calls from citizens within the corporate limits of the City of Stockbridge. Since assuming responsibility for police services on July 1st, our department has relieved the county of approximately 24% of its overall service obligations, allowing the Henry County Police Department to reallocate its resources to better serve citizens living in unincorporated areas of the county. As was previously stated, while it may be factual that the prescribed protocol regarding the timing of the notification to opt out of police services was not followed, the county has also not fulfilled its obligation to uniformly provide police services to the City of Stockbridge. As such, it is our position that it is not proper to withhold taxes paid by Stockbridge citizens for police services that the county is not currently providing. Over the past 3 months, our department has experienced a 20% increase in demand for service and considerable increases in other crime and non-criminal categories. With these increases, it is necessary for us to hire additional officers to meet the heightened demands, to reduce crime in our community, and to continue to provide the high quality of service that our citizens deserve. Without these taxes from the Police Service District Fund, we will not be able to effectively accomplish these objectives, potentially affecting the quality of services we can provide and hampering our ability to effectively combat crime. Furthermore, there is a referendum for annexation on the November 8th ballot that, if it should pass, would bring an additional 6,000 to 7,000 residents into the city of Stockbridge. Assuming the referendum passes, we will have an even greater need to hire more officers, which is another reason why these funds are crucial. Crime and public safety are one of the greatest concerns of citizens in our country. Without these funds, our department cannot hire the additional staff necessary to effectively address crime and deliver the high quality of public safety that our citizens deserve and should expect. This is an extremely important issue that stands the possibility of impacting the safety and welfare of the citizens of our city, and I ask that you consider the public safety interest of your constituents who live in the city of Stockbridge. And I also ask that you consider our appeal to redirect the taxes paid by our citizens for police services to our city. Failure to deliver these funds could have serious consequences for the safety and security of our entire community. I thank you for your consideration and would be happy to answer any questions that you have at this time.
Okay, thank you, Chief Trammer, for the presentation. I do have some questions, but I would like to ask the Tax Commissioner, Michael Harris, to come forward. And I'd like to ask our Finance Director, David Smith, to come forward. Commissioner Harris, can you talk a little bit about the process and what did or did not occur with regards to why there was not a rollback?
Yeah, well, first of all, good morning, everyone. We've had conversations with city officials dating back to early part of 21 in reference to once we became aware that there was a movement with the city to move forward with the police force, we did reach out just to kind of identify what the process would be and to find out if the intent from the city was going to be to have a millage, incorporated millage at that point, and if not, then there's still a process that would need to take place in reference to coordinating a agreement between the city and the county in reference to the specific rollback amount for police services. I think the chief made reference to that process. The specifics, perhaps Mr. Smith can speak to, but there was some correspondence back as early as February of 21, just kind of having those conversations in reference to the process that would be needed.
So the city there was no response from the city with regards to
the response we received at that point in time was that they did not believe, the correspondence I think from the previous city manager at the time, was that they didn't, is his understanding that they weren't going to move forward in that direction. Okay. Again, that's just based on correspondence I received back in early part of 21.
Okay. All right. Thank you. David, there seems to be a discrepancy in the numbers because we have one set of numbers and the chief presented another set of numbers. What is the actual, I guess, numbers that we should be looking at?
Good morning, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, Commissioners, and the Henry County community. What the chief did present, Chief Trammer, he presented the full year number, which is approximately $2.4 million. The actual number for one half a year would be $1.2 million if we were to go from the July 1st time frame.
So from July to now?
From the July to now, yes, ma'am.
Is 1.2?
It would be one half of that 2.4 million that he mentioned for the full year.
Okay. So then I guess my question is, has the proper paperwork been turned in to make sure that the taxes are now, or the rollback has occurred? Has that happened?
No, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That number was presented by the city of Stockbridge, Commissioner Holmes.
So is this the number that we know we owe them? Because if we owe them the money, we should go ahead and pay the money.
I don't have the position that we owe them anything, sir, because they did not follow the protocol, nor did they try to come up with an intergovernmental agreement as required. And the amount for the full year would be $2.4 million, and then the amount for one half a year would be $1.2 million.
So
The number that's there now is presented by the city of Stockbridge.
Right. Before the board can make a decision on this, we need the actual number from July 1 to, I guess, current day. And if the...
That would be the $1.2 million,
Okay.
Madam Chair.
So I would like to, so from July 1 to, what is the date, November 1st?
So, Madam Chair, that amount would be July 1st through December 31st, 2022.
Okay, so that's July.
That would be the 1.224, 415.69.
Okay, and so what is it from January 1 to November 1st?
That would be the balance of the difference of the $2.4 million for the entire year.
So that would be from July of this year, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
To December 31st of this year would be the 1.2.
Yes, ma'am.
So then rolling into 2023, they should have the proper paperwork in place so then that we're not doing that collection?
So, Madam Chair, I'm going to let the tax commissioner speak to the process, because it's not just a matter of cutting it in the middle of the year.
Okay.
There's a timeline. So I'm going to let Mr. Harris speak to that.
Okay, all right, thank you.
So just to quickly clarify, what we did in order to come up with the 2.4 figure, we looked at the entire digest for the city of Stockbridge, and that was 1.313 billion. From there, we deduct out the exemptions that are pulled out, exemption amounts of 27 million. That left a balance of 1.2 billion. From there, that times your millage rate of 1.904 leaves a net amount of $2,448,831.38. That simply times 0.5 leaves that 6-month balance of $1,224,415.69. So that's where the numbers are coming from. So if to be collected over the entirety of the 12-month period, that number would be the 2.448.
Okay, so we haven't collected it all, but what the point I'm trying to get to is that Stockbridge has started their police department, and as everyone knows, I am a big supporter of public safety. And so if this is their money, then we need to give them their money. I just need to know the exact figure to this point. We're rounding it off to 1.2, but you gave 1.2 plus something. So I need to know the exact number. So if it's the board's desire, then we can vote to go ahead and give them what has been collected.
Correct.
And then moving forward, whatever resolutions or whatever needs to be put in place for them to collect starting for next year, we need to make sure that that is in place.
Yeah.
Yes, Commissioner Thomas. Clemens.
Would you consider putting before the board that the staff works collaboratively with the city, make sure that it is the right amount? I think we have 3 prudent staff members there that can work with them, and we could just, if a vote is needed, that we would just go ahead and vote to let the staff handle it and give them what is owed, since I think we're all on the same page.
Right.
And we don't have to have a number.
Right, yeah, but I just want to make sure that whatever we vote on, that we're not just saying we're voting on the 1.2.
Right,
we want to vote on the actual number so that those funds are transferred to the city of Stockbridge. Yes, Fred, you had something?
And tax commissioner could attest to this, that, once you times the millage rate by what the average cost is, that doesn't mean that you're going to get 100% collection. So that number is going to be a little bit off. So I would recommend that the verbiage that you guys use is what is collected versus just coming up with a bare number, because that number might not be accurate based on collections.
Absolutely. So can I get a motion from the floor?
Yes,
that
I would like to make a motion that the board would accept the request to reimburse the city of Stockbridge based on the amount that has been collected from the city of Stockbridge that is owed to them, and that you would allow the staff to handle the reimbursement amount.
Wait a minute.
Okay, sure.
Can I ask a question?
Oh, yes, Commissioner Holmes.
Fred, where did you get the 1.5? I heard you say something, but
Yeah,
can you let me
I
know?
didn't mention the 1.5, but typically a mill is about 1.2 million. So if you times the 1.2 million by 1.904, that comes up with $2.4 million. And so if you divide it from July to December, half that amount will give you the 1.2. That's what,
So
finance director was talking
from
about.
your perspective, what does this board need to do to make the city of Stockbridge whole?
I think you guys were about to do it.
She just made the motion to do that.
Yeah, I think you're about to do it, sir.
She just made the motion based on what's collected. County Manager, Sharon.
So, just a point of clarification, we've got to have a cutoff at some point. So are we saying from July through December 31st, or are we looking at making them whole with the entire 2.4? Because I want to make sure that, and I'm not against what the board is saying, but I also want you all to understand from January through July, Henry County provided services to those taxpayers. And so on July 1, when the city of Stockbridge went live, that is when they officially, when 911 calls came in, they went to the city of Stockbridge. Anything prior to that was Henry County PD, and our budget was based on that. So I just want to put all the facts out, and whatever direction this board moves in, we'll do that. But we've got to have a cutoff on that, and I need specific clarification in terms of how much are we looking to? Are we doing the entire year, or are we doing from July through December?
Collected. What has been collected thus far?
Based on the
Resolution.
when they started their police department.
Of July 1.
So right now, tax bills aren't due until November 16th. So right now we're at, as of this morning, I think we're ballpark around 24% collected as of right now. So one part of the calculation we did run was we took the 2.4 and we looked at, half of that, obviously half, if the decision of the board is to allocate half of that to the city. Our collection rate usually falls somewhere around 98%, 98 point some percent. That collection rate continues to increase every year simply because we're continuing to go out and collect delinquent taxes. So there will be a cutoff date. There will be an amount collected typically on December 31st of this year. We're usually ballpark around 97, 98% collected, or 95, 96% collected. By February, we're at 97, 98%. So one option may be for the board's consideration is to take that 1.22, that figure I gave, and simply take that by 98%. And that's a flat rate figure. That's what we can legitimately anticipate for being the collections for this year, very close to it. But to get an exact number, that number is going to continue to increase over the course of the years.
Chair, I make the motion to do it at that number, and we understand that there may be an increase, but that will make Stockbridge hold, and then that would just be it at that point.
Fred, did you have a comment?
Yes, ma'am. And Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, if taxes are collected in November, that means that the taxes collected in November of 2021 will budget it as part of the FY22 budget, which ended in June. Correct me if I'm wrong?
No. We collect in arrears.
Right.
Yeah. So what we were collecting in 2021 of November.
It's 27 for 2022.
That's correct.
So obviously, if the board decides to cut it off in December, that leaves us with a gap. Obviously, as it relates to June, just January through June.
That's correct, but it also leaves the county with me having to come back and reduce our budget by $1.2 million. So we're both going to, if we do the 1.2, that's got to come out of our general fund budget.
That's the reason why we need to state a number, because it's subjective right now. So we'll take a vote with no number, and then there'll be some confusion that comes up later, and you guys will be coming back here saying that we owe you more money.
We really don't want to do that, right? Because
when did the police department start?
July 1st, midnight, July 1st of 2022.
This year.
this year.
Yes, ma'am. And so
So we owe you from July 1 of 2022.
if you say we stop at December,
No,
then
I'm asking you, the start date is July 1
yes.
of 2022.
that is correct.
Okay.
That is correct. And so in order for us to budget, if the county is budgeting for that police service, the county budgeted for the entire year, right?
But we provided it. for
That's the one.
year.
That's the 2.4 million.
Correct,
They
because
budgeted
for
for the
6
whole
months,
year,
we
so-
provided that service.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So from January 1 to June 30th,
30th,
we
we
provided
provided the
police
service.
services.
Right.
July 1, you all went live.
And January 2023, it's on the city
It's only city.
to collect.
Correct.
Correct.
So the motion.
And in that time frame, that was a part of our budget that the board approved. Keep in mind, we had to purchase a building because the building that we were in, the city of Stockbridge had to occupy. And so those are expenses that we had to budget for.
And we will adjust accordingly. David, right?
So I think there was a motion on the floor, I'm
Commissioner
sorry.
Clemens, will you state your motion again?
Okay, so the motion is that the board would accept the request from the city of Stockbridge to reimburse them for police department services from July 1st, 2022 to December 31st, 2022. Staff, 6 months, July 1st, 2022 to December 31st, 2022. The amount is to be determined by staff based on what was collected during that period.
By staff and the tax commissioner's office.
Tax and the staff commissioner's office.
Okay.
Sherry, is that possible? Is that?
We'll make it work.
Is that stated right?
Mr. Harris?
That's what he said.
So the motion on the floor is for Henry County staff, in collaboration with the tax commissioner, to determine the amount that's due back to the city of Stockbridge based on collections from July 1st through December 31st.
Correct.
Is that?
That's fine.
That's fine.
And again, I can, for the sake of clarity and to finalize this, the number we've calculated based on the 50% half to the county, half to the city, at a 98% collection rate, that would leave a balance due to the city of $1,199,927.38. Again, that's based on 98% collection. That number is roughly $24,000 less than the full 1.24. Again, that's based on, because again, we'll be at that 98 ballpark sometime around February, March, typically. But we will continue. A year from now, we may be at 99.5% because we'll continue to collect on delinquents. But for the sake of clarity and cleanness and to clean this issue up, that's one motion that the county and the city can certainly consider. The other point that Mr. Garden just brought up was in reference to what happens next year as far as the rollback for the police services, and that's part of the conversation between the city and the county.
So starting from January 1 of 2023, moving to, I guess, I'm assuming June 30th, how are we dealing with that?
So the city still needs to follow the process. They need to bring forth an amendment to the service delivery strategy. That is the process that needs to occur. Once we get that information, we'll bring it to the board. You all will agree that they now have their own police services, and that will amend the SDS where the county is no longer providing that service on record. And then going forward, the tax commissioner will work with them in terms of making sure that those city residents are not being charged that 1.9 mil for police services for Henry County.
Okay, so can we get a commitment of you all doing that, and what is the timeline?
Yes, ma'am. So our goal will be to start working, and we actually agreed, the three of us, that process was we have to come here and request from you guys in order for Sherry to be able to.
So when are we going to do that?
So
because we're standing here talking, and we've been going.
So our goal will be to get that to you guys before the end of the year so that we could address it.
Okay.
The key factor in there is.
Can you have it by the November 29th meeting?
Yes.
Okay. Because I want to put a date on this. I don't want this to continue
Understood.
to linger, and you all have your police department.
Understood.
You all need to receive the meals that are due to you all, but let's follow the process. Let's
Yes,
get the
ma'am.
paperwork in and let's get this done. And I will put you all on the November agenda. Mayor? Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. Can we get a second? We got a second from Commissioner Holmes. If there's no further discussion, all in favor? The motion carries unanimously. Thank you so